closer look at tomorrow morning's newspapers is the freelance journalist Guy Clapperton and the historian and broadcaster Kate Williams. It's great to have you both in. Thanks very much for coming in. No problem at all. Let's start with it's the Daily Mail, I think.
Yes, Boris Johnson thought he had a secret. Boris Johnson no longer has a secret. Unless, of course, the Daily Mail is fibbing, in which case Boris Johnson will be in court on Monday.
The Daily Mail never fibs.
On Monday. No, of course not. It's not a surprising story. I mean, in spite of all the public denials, the suggestion is that Boris Johnson is indeed in secret talks to make, I quote, a sensational comeback as MP. The idea is that Zachary Goldsmith is going to move aside from his safe seat. How safe was that again?
Well, that was an interesting question. That means that it's a safe seat, whereas, of course, it was a Liberal Democrat seat before. And I think this is the implication. If Boris is in that seat, anti the third runway, of course, all of Richmond are very concerned about the third runway, then it is a safe seat for him.
That's the key, isn't it? That's the key.
Or if no one's going to vote Lib Dem in the next election. I mean, this is the other sort of little theory, little subtext that may be going on. Well, the polls suggest that they're going to get a great...
They've already lost a lot already.
It's midterm, so we mustn't get too carried away. The polls do suggest at the moment, or the opinion polls do suggest at the moment, that they're going to get a great deal less than they did last time.
Well, you're right, Guy. A lot of Lib Dem voters are very disillusioned because of what's happened to tuition fees and the NHS and social care. They're very disillusioned. So this year says, but Boris is coming back. He and Zach have been in secret talks, and Boris is getting the job. And it's saying here, you know, there's not much competition. Haig doesn't want the job. He's much happier being Foreign Secretary. Health Secretary Jeremy Hunt, it's saying it's been badly damaged, and Osborne's just not popular enough.
OK,
so
well, we've just got this in, actually. I
yeah.
should tell everyone, the Mayor's official spokesman has told the Press Association tonight it's no surprise that the Mayor has met and will continue to meet those who share his concerns over the lack of aviation capacity in London and the South East, but the story in question is without doubt fanciful. It's basically saying, yes, of course he's had chats with Mr Goldsmith, but that's about the runway.
Just about the airport,
exactly.
That's it, nothing else.
Until the week before he stood, John Major was denying that he would ever stand against Margaret Thatcher, and he didn't until the day she resigned, and he put his hat into the ring and became Prime Minister very quickly indeed. I think Boris would be very stupid too, and so would his spokesman. Not that I'm saying you are stupid if you're watching, sorry, you or your lawyers, but he would be very stupid to come out and say, yes, of course, this is true. He wants to be Prime Minister. Yeah. But, you know, no one's going to declare their hand that openly at the moment. I would be very surprised if it wasn't on the list of possibilities.
And also, I think it keeps his position secure as London Mayor as well. That's Londoners want him to be their Mayor. And I think it shows how important this question of aviation is at the moment. Is it going to be a third runway or his plan of Boris Island, this great big extra
well, this statement
is it
says...
officially called that yet?
But it could well be. I mean, this statement says he will continue to oppose any such notion of a third runway as he'll be doing it as Mayor of London. He is implacably opposed to any suggestion that this is going to happen.
And now, of course, if there is any jostling between David Cameron and Boris Johnson, I know that isn't even what the Mail says, it's me saying this, but if there is any jostling going on, and this is something that neither of them can actually afford to lose.
Sure, he's had a good game, though, hasn't he, Boris? I mean, that's part of the reason everyone's talking about him in this particular way.
I went to Tooting Common and got stuck on a zip wire, and you know what? No cameras, nobody noticed, not even my daughter didn't even come to sneer at me.
This is it, even that... He could get away with it.
Was a PR
he can get away with it.
It was what was brilliant to me was this week, the reshuffle, you know, big attention on Cameron, but instead Boris completely stole the show, giving that conference, talking about the third runway. You know, he gets a lot of the attention, and I think he is his kind of superstar of his own film. And the question is, what do the Conservative Party think of him? There's some suggestion that they think there's polls saying here he's very popular, but people don't think he's statesmanlike, and that could be a problem.
Well, it comes down to what somebody said on Have I Got News For You a while ago. I think it may have been Joe Caulfield, the comedian, saying that they were very fond of Boris. It may not have been, but it was somebody saying they were very fond of Boris. They just didn't want him in charge of anything. Share a pizza, yes. And, you know, that's likability for you.
He's been in charge of London.
Yes.
He has, and he's had a rattling good game. I'm just backing up the idea that he may not be all that statesman.
That's what the polls are suggesting, and I wonder whether what people will think in the final come to it. But I think people are looking for another superstar Prime Minister.
Well, fascinating as Boris is, we're not going to talk about him all night. Let's move on to the Independent. Kate, it says here, thank you, it's been emotional, it's been amazing, it's been wonderful, all the adjectives, superlatives you want to add to what an amazing summer of sport.
This is just fabulous. I just love this graphic here. And, you know, the papers have been a joy throughout the Olympics. These wonderful photojournalisms on the front and, you know, fabulous pictures of the opening ceremony. We're going to have some great pictures tomorrow of the closing ceremony for the Paralympics. And all these pictures of triumph, of all these people winning their gold medals. It's just so exciting to see. You know, we'll never get over that picture of Mo Farah here. You know, look at that explosion of happiness on his face. And Andy Murray, there winning the gold. And I just love they've got the nail varnish matches as well. It's just fabulous. It just we'll never forget Team GB's colour, and I just don't think any of us could have expected how well it would have gone. Everything went off brilliantly. Team GB did fabulously. The Olympics went off brilliantly. No security scares, no transport problems. I was watching quite a lot of it from America, and the rest of the world are quite shocked, and I think Brazil is pretty intimidating. They've got a big job on their hands.
I think they are. I spoke to some of their representatives in the Olympic Stadium during the Olympics, and they know that they've got a massive, huge act to follow here. But what's also interesting as well, I think, is the fact that we're surprised. Not just the Americans or the Brazilians. I think a lot of British people, Britons are surprised that it worked. Nothing went wrong.
Guilty as charged.
You were a cynic.
I was a cynic. I was a very quiet cynic. I didn't. I just had a feeling that the sitcom 2012 was roughly how it was probably going in the background.
An omni-shambles.
Roughly, yes, indeed. And I thought it was going to be. I thought it would chuck down with rain. Now that was luck. You can't actually say that we arranged that particularly deliberately. But I think the Olympics and the transition to the immediately that James Bond sketch happened, I was sold on the whole the cynicism went away, and I think the spirit of it, and I think the reportage has been first class. I think that the BBC and indeed Channel 4 have had a very good Olympics and Paralympics respectively. I think, as you say, there's the athletes of course themselves, but there's been a bit of a buzz. I live in London. It's definitely been a big buzz. So cynicism withdrawn. Unqualified.
And they're very interested. I was watching about Canadian. The Canadian report was saying, this is a country which often has no self-confidence, and I think that can be true. We aren't want to go out there and sell ourselves.
Yeah.
We often put ourselves down and go, "Oh, this isn't working. That's not so good." But I think this has just been incredible.
I think we've learned perhaps a bit more ease with ourselves. One of the papers, I think it may have been The Guardian, it may have been someone else entirely, said that we've become a bit more at ease with ourselves in a sort of post-colonial, no longer got the empire. But actually, we're kind of adjusted to that, and we're still.
We've got over.
We're probably happier now because we're a very small island, but we can still do this, and that's better than going and invading everywhere. You're quite comfortable.
Well, I'll tell you someone who's a lot more at ease with himself is Mr. Andy Murray.
Yes.
He's reached his 5th Grand Slam final.
Yes, I know. I did want to get a picture of Andy on the review and mention that. Sorry, Andy, I don't know him. Mr. Murray.
Andy, my mate.
Yeah, that's right. Me and him, we're like, never met.
Sharing a pizza with Boris, playing tennis with Andy.
Yes, it all happens in my brain. But nevertheless, while I was growing up, Wimbledon tennis, any tennis tournament, major tennis tournament, there was a thing where the British players were in the first week if you were lucky. Players like Buster Mottram were the English, the British finals. Remember Buster Mottram? Remember? No, you don't. No. Okay.
I do actually.
You do, okay. But people like John Lloyd as well, who do tremendous effort and then get to the still mostly go out in the first week. Now this is the 2nd Grand Slam final within months that Andy Murray has done. I know he didn't win Wimbledon, but we hadn't had someone in the final for so long. He's now making this commonplace and winning a gold medal. What a trooper. I'm not supposed to be terribly biased here, but brilliant.
But the interesting thing is, his coach, Ivan Lendl, got to 4 Grand Slam finals, didn't win any of them, won his 5th one.
And this is Andy's 5th tomorrow. So no pressure then, Andy?
No pressure at all.
No pressure at all. He's got a recent coach, and I think but it's not only tennis that I felt, because I'm a great gymnastics fan, and I used to watch it, and it was the Russians and the Americans dominated it, and now, of course, the British team did brilliantly and fabulously. And I think it really shows so much lottery money has been poured into sport, and the success has been great. And I think this is the big key of the Olympics, keeping it going. Are we going to? Because obviously in 1996 we got 1 gold in rowing.
Indeed.
Are we going to go back to that? Let's try not to.
The man behind the Olympic success and Paralympic success, John Major. You brought the lottery in. OK, The Observer. Don't dump green agenda, warns Tory climate chief.
Yes, very interesting question here. I mean, obviously the Conservative Party, initially they said they were going to be a very green party. That's receded because of I think often it's said it's not good for business, green agenda. And it's very interesting because, in the reshuffle, it really did seem as if the Conservative Party were going against their green agenda, putting in Owen Paterson, who has made clear he's opposed to wind farms, and he's also very pro the excavation and looking into the question of excavating shale gas, which many people think brings up more CO2 emissions than what we ordinarily have. But John Gummer here, John Gummer as well, now he's saying, I don't think there can be any growth unless we have green growth. He's saying it's got to be important. We led the way with the Climate Change Act. We've got to continue. So this is a rather interesting voice here in the Conservative Party, and it's rather going against the policy that we've got at the moment. So for the Greens, I think, despairing over extra runways and Boris Island, this is a ray of hope for them, I think.
Yes.
Yes, interesting to note that this is almost back to the way it was sort of a few months ago, before the Tories and the Liberals started attacking each other. Within the coalition, it was very much Conservative versus Conservative, again, and Liberal versus Liberal. That's where the division seemed to be, and here we are, Tory versus Tory again.
Yes.
You know, we mustn't forget, you know, it's just because we've had a lot of inter-party rather than intra-party fighting, this stuff's still going on.
It is indeed. OK, on the Observer, and Mr McCartney.
Sir
He's
Paul,
come
to
over
you.
all French.
Yes. Now, this could be a very rare collector's item because, of course, he's been removed from the front page because a picture of Andy Murray came through, and that's a lot more sort of current. I was interested, though, because Sir Paul went and got his Légion d'Honneur badge yesterday. Sorry, today. Yesterday in tomorrow's paper. This is, we do this strange time travel thing on this programme. And there he is wearing his medal, which he apparently had to pay for, because you have to pay for your own Légion d'Honneur, according to yes, it's your website, mate. He's read your own BBC.
It must be true, then.
It must be, yeah. But I'm just fascinated. I'm a big Beatles fan, big McCartney fan. You know, I'm not cynical about him at all, but I'm fascinated with the principle that you can do so well in your chosen profession, which you love. You can be so famous in your chosen profession, which you love, and get so well paid. You know, everything like that going for it. That's a reward in its own right. It's news to me that that's what I'm a reasonable journalist. I could do with a knighthood. Reasonable, passable.
You take it. You wouldn't turn it down.
Sorry?
You wouldn't turn it down.
I'd have the choice, wouldn't I?
I'm sorry, Queen, I can't come.
Moving quickly on, Sunday
Quite right.
Telegraph, Tories salute our wealth creators like Olympians. This is going to have to be our last story.
Interesting lead story here. The new minister, our new business minister, is saying here, Michael Fallon, there's a politics of envy here. We envy our wealth creators, he puts them, and we've got to praise them. They should be like our Olympians. So, I mean, it's a kind of strange vision having them like Olympians, really, isn't it? You know, a gold medal race with our loads of businessmen racing along. I mean, it's a strange idea, but he, you know, it's really saying, you know, what he's saying here is Tories are putting business first, which is going to conflict with the Green agenda. Business first, you know, saying about privatisations and cutting the red tape and all the rest of it, what we used to see as a Conservative business agenda.
He could mean the other sort of Olympian, as in having all the businessmen walking along like Will.i.am, carrying the flag in one, the torch in one hand, and his BlackBerry in the other, tweeting saying, "I am carrying the," because you know they will be getting their emails on the move. Yeah, he was. There are photos of him standing there, like literally like that.
Sure. All right.
So
we're going to have to. I'm going to have to interrupt you there, Kate. I'm so sorry. Dr. Kate Williams, Guy Clupperton, thanks very much to you for joining us.
Lovely to be with you. Thank you. Bye.